Hey, everybody, it is Jordy from Seven Eagle Group. We get asked all the time by companies that we work with, especially in the government contract world, aerospace company, manufacturing companies, what is going on with this new CMMC 2.0 requirement that the government is requiring all contractors, subcontractors to abide by. And this is a topic that's very confusing, and a lot of people are unsure what to go. So we invited Tim Tipton, a U.S. Air Force veteran. He is the Chief Information Security Officer at the VIPR-SOC, Secure Operations Center, that's run by military veterans, to come on and help us make sense of this confusing topic. So, Tim, thank you for taking a few minutes to jump on. We appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. I hope that I can help subside some of the worries that people have about CMMC and how daunting it is.
That is awesome. We'll dive right into it. We also have Jay Sheehan and Skylar just joined us from the VIPR-SOC as well. So Jay is the director of the VIPR-SOC, and Skylar handles cyber insurance. So thank you guys for joining me and Tim on the call today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're going to jump right into this. So, Tip, why don't you just give everyone a quick overview? Like, what are the key components of the CMC framework? How do they apply to aerospace manufacturing, other companies in this industry, and to DoD contract orgs?
So the thing about CMMC, first, it stands for Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. It's a framework that's defined of 3 different tiers: foundational, advanced, expert, right? And that's then comprised of multiple domains, over 110 practices that are broken out by each of those different tiers. What you're primarily looking for and how that applies to aerospace, manufacturing, things like that, the DoD uses it as a baseline and a model to hold their contracted organizations to, right? If you fall within that supply chain, this applies to you, right? One of those 3 tiers applies to you based on where you fall at in that supply chain. Depending on the type and sensitivity of the information that you process, which could be the highest level of CUI, which is controlled unclassified information, right? To whether you're just providing parts for the many different aircraft or devices or weapons that we utilize within the DoD realm, right? And by weapons, it could be anything from a manner of resources, such as our people that we invest in, to the vehicles and things that they utilize, right? So that's where CMMC falls at. Each of those different domains, each of those different practices and controls is broken out by things such as access management, incident response, things like that, where you dive down deeper into the security controls themselves and how they're layered within the organization to prevent things such as script kiddies, local national terrorists, things like that, from getting access to that information that you have within your domain. Once you get up to tier 3, you're primarily just looking at preventing advanced persistent threats once you have all of those 110 plus controls applied.
Yeah. So what are the steps that involve with achieving that CMC compliance? What resources, support are available to organizations who have to sort of navigate this process?
The process, I feel like that's the part that gets people most of the time, is how lengthy it is, but it's the same as any other process, whether you're following some other regulatory body, right? First off, you're starting with identifying the level that you need to be compliant with, whether it's level 1, level 2, or level 3. That defines how many controls you're going to have to become compliant with. It can go anywhere from 17 controls to, like I mentioned, that 110 plus, right? Because once you hit that 110 plus, it's not just the 110 from 800-171, which is the NIST publication that this is derived from, but it's also some controls from NIST 800-172. So they pull in some from there. So that way the organization has a little bit extra, razzle dazzle going on, right?
Yeah.
After that, you conduct a self-assessment. With the self-assessment is really just integrity first, right? Some organizations, they have companies come out so that way they can help them with the self-assessment because they just don't know what they're looking for, rightfully so, right? They want people with experience to come in and handle this for them. From there, you go on into developing and implementing a plan to address everything that you identified in that self-assessment, because that self-assessment is being held against the standard of whatever tier you fell into, right? So you're looking at different solutions, different technologies, things like that, that you can implement to make sure that you're compliant whenever you have that C3PAO come out. That C3PAO is going to be that CMMC third-party assessment organization. That's what would be considered that external regulatory body, right? They're the ones that are going to come out, give you that attestation, that certification, where it's just like, this person is compliant or this organization is compliant with CMMC, whatever tier they're going for.
Yeah.
There, you're going to remediate any non-compliant areas that the C3PAO identified. Then you're going to roll back into obtaining the certification if you didn't already get the certification after they came out and did their thing. And you just go forward from there.
So Jay Sheehan is an Army veteran and the director of the VIPR-SOC. Jay, tell us a little bit about VIPR and how you guys tie into helping companies with this compliance.
Certainly. Thanks, Trudy. So VIPR-SOC stands for Veterans in Puerto Rico Security Operations Center. Everyone in the org is either transitioning service members, veterans, or spouses. We pull directly out of cybersecurity commands across the country and outside of the country from the U.S. military. In fact, Mr. Tipton here was one of our prize candidates. So everyone that comes in already has that cybersecurity background for anywhere from 4, 6, 8 to 22, 28 years, a few of the guys. We operate as a 24/7 MSSP, a managed security services provider. We also offer MSP services as well. For those companies that are smaller and don't have a full-time IT department, we can manage the IT, the monitoring of 24/7 for all of their cybersecurity incidents and alerts moving forward, which is part of CMMC. There's continuous monitoring and improvement. And, you know, we just love our job. Got a great team here. We get to work with like-minded individuals, and we do one heck of a job.
So what should companies, anyone who wants to hire someone like a VIPR-SOC to help them with all this, what should these folks do? How do you want them to reach out to you? Or
well, I mean, they can reach out to us through LinkedIn or right at VIPR-SOC.com. That's VIPR-SOC.com. And one of our representatives will get back to you usually within a few hours. We're also about to launch our insurance division, which is why Skylar's on this call. So we're pretty excited about that. We're trying to work out some incredible deals with major insurance companies to help mitigate risk and help with getting the certification for the insurance companies, as well as keeping those policies in play.
yeah.
As any of us know, when you start looking at the new cyber policies, the 30 plus pages, and it looks like it's in different languages at times. That's why we have people like Skylar on board to help manage that whole process.
Yeah, and I know, Skylar, you come from a long background of extensive experience in the insurance industry. And I know that, you know, anything you want to add to what Jay mentioned about how important this stuff is for companies to not only make sure they're doing all the compliance work, but then also protecting themselves?
Absolutely. The Statista risk says that by 2025, cyber is going to be a $20 billion industry, and that's huge. They also it's really, really important to have all of the different types of cyber insurance in place, because several of them will actually, if you get a ransomware, event that happens, your company and those that it affects can actually be reimbursed for it. There's like two things you should, obviously, your first policy coverage would pay for losses for the business all the way down to employees. And liability coverage would also cover anybody, a third party that is actually potentially that would sue you for a data breach, of any sort. And as things go along and progress, it's going to, it's going to be key people, should always have their tablets or phones protected, because that's going to be the next big wave. It already is, I think, kind of starting. But I think the great thing that you have to offer that can give people, around experience is your 30-day proof of concept. And that would allow for somebody to really dive deep into whatever your company specifically needs, and to sort of analyze that out, even in an insurance way, because there's certain things that some are going to need that others aren't going to need, just as well as VIPR-SOC does.
No doubt. Thank you, Skylar. One technical question, and then we're going to wrap up. This one's for you, Tip, from Guy Jacks. Would DoD companies be required to follow the ISO 27001 standards in conjunction with CMMC, or would CMC requirements suffice?
So when it comes to CMMC compliance, right, that's its own individual entity, right? If something requires, such as DFARS or anything like that, requires your compliance with ISO 27001, then that would be separate in and of itself. However, one thing that you want to look for, right, is the overlap between some of these controls. So whatever you implement for CMMC very well may carry over into your ISO compliance. Whatever you may currently be doing for ISO may very well carry over into your CMMC compliance. So that's why you want to kind of look at that and see if there's a gap to be bridged there.
Yeah.
Right.
No doubt. Thank you. Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Tip. Guy, everyone, thank you for jumping on today. If anyone listening, be safe. Don't be sorry. Give Jay a buzz at VIPR-SOC. At least let him do a quick evaluation of your situation. They will point you in the right directions. These guys are a class act, and appreciate everyone for listening. And thank you guys for joining me today.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having us, Jordy.